And the world's largest collection of aviation and space artifacts right here in our area.
Yeah, the Smithsonian's National Air and Space Museum is also the most visited museum in the U.S. Let's check back in with Eileen Whalen now. She's been there all morning and having a lot of fun. Eileen, what's the latest?
You know, I have to say this really is one of my favorite museums here in the D.C. area, so I highly recommend you come on out. We are in the Exploring Planets exhibition, and one of the newest and most recent missions is the New Horizons, and Dr. Ross Irwin is here to tell us a little bit more about it. This spacecraft going to Pluto.
Right. It's been on its way to Pluto for 9.5 years. This was the fastest spacecraft ever to be launched away from the Earth. It's going to pass by Pluto on the 14th at about 31,000 miles an hour.
Holy tamale. So it's been going for all of, this time, these number of years. I mean, what are you kind of seeing so far in some of the initial data that's coming back?
Well, the photographs that we're able to take are mostly of the northern hemisphere of Pluto and the area around the equator. Those are the areas that have been visible in daylight right now. So we're able to see that the northern area has sort of a reddish color, and then there's a band of a dark area around the equator, and some of that is broken up into patches of dark material. We don't know what that is, but we're starting to see surface features on Pluto for the first time.
That is so exciting. I mean, and what prompted, a mission to Pluto?
Well, this is the next unexplored region of the solar system. We have sent spacecraft now to at least fly by all of the major planets. But beyond the orbit of Neptune, there's this area called the Kuiper Belt. It's a huge, vast expanse of space. It has little dwarf planets in it. It has other icy worlds. This is the next frontier of solar system exploration.
You guys are doing amazing things. Thank you so much for talking to us about that. We're actually going to continue on through the exhibit because we want to talk about Mars. So getting a little bit closer to home. And Dr. John Grant is here to tell us a little bit more about the Mars missions, and they've been going on for quite some time as well.
They have. What we have over here is a case showing models of our 3 generations of Mars rovers, starting back with an engineering model, which is basically the twin of the Sojourner rover that was back in the late 90s, followed by the Mars exploration rovers. This is a model of the rovers that landed on Mars in 2004 and have been going, in the case of Opportunity, for more than 11 years now. And then finally, the sort of big sister, the Curiosity rover, which landed about 3 years ago in 2012, has been exploring the conditions on Mars and whether or not they might have been habitable.
And what are you finding? I mean, what is the latest research kind of showing from Curiosity?
Well, the previous rovers were really building on this theme of follow the water. And as I mentioned, Curiosity is looking for habitable conditions. And what we found is evidence that there was a lake on the floor of the crater where Curiosity is roving about. We see that in the form of the rocks and the sediments that are deposited there. And that lake looks like it had conditions that were relatively habitable. So we're seeing things that are much more Earth-like in many regards than we've seen before.
And, you work directly on this mission. So what do you see kind of next as far as our exploration of Mars?
Well, so we're building on this theme of follow the water, was it habitable? The next rover in 2020 is going to be looking sort of not at life detection, but the kinds of signatures associated with biological activity. We call them biosignatures. We want to see if those habitable conditions could have in fact harbored life.
Well, lot to get excited about. Thank you so much for all of the hard work that you do. Larry, I don't know if you, since you've moved here, have been able to come to the Air and Space Museum, but if you haven't, I highly recommend it. So many cool things to see and do.